This is the High School Football America podcast for August the 7th, 2019. I'm Jeff Fisher. All right, we're going to head to the state of Alaska. It's been a while since the podcast and the radio show have headed north of the border. In the past, we've talked some Soldotna football, service, Voznesenka. I think I pronounced that right. I remember that one. That was a little 8-man program we did years ago. And today we're going to Anchorage. First time for the Bartlett Golden Bears to be on the podcast here. We're going to talk with co-head coach Daniel Esparza. He's an alum for the Golden Bears, played on the 2002 championship team with John Jessen, who was his coach at the time, and now they're co-head coaches. That's unique, and that's going to be fun to talk about. And back in 2017, they won the largest classification championship in the state, did Bartlett, winning the Division I championship. And Coach Esparza is on the line right now. Talk a little Alaska football and a lot of Golden Bears. Welcome to the show, Coach.
Thanks for having me, Jeff.
Yeah, it's fun.
Glad to be here.
Yeah, and it's been a while since we've been north there, so I'm going to have you put on your ambassador hat here, Chamber of Commerce, whatever you want to say. So I'm going to give you the first question, which is Alaska high school football is, fill in the blanks.
Growing and getting better. I think just with all the advances of technology that we've had just in the last 15 to 20 years, our coaches in Alaska and players have access to resources everywhere around the country, through Huddle, through online clinics for coaches, and just the ability of our kids to kind of fly out, go to camps, get out, and I really think that it's growing and getting better. We only have 28 teams in Alaska, which is absolutely not a lot, but, we have a population of only about 700,000 people in our state, but football is the most popular sport amongst boys in our state. It pulls the largest number of kids that come in and play year-round. And, we're hoping that maybe someday we can kind of break into the smaller rural villages in Alaska with some 8-man football. But it's definitely growing and getting better. And, we have a lot of great coaches and a lot of great players that come out of our state. And I think we gets overshadowed because of simply just the small size of the state population-wise and the distance away from the continental United States. But, we have kids going to play college football year in and year out. We've had great coaches here that have left here and had great success, at the college level and high school level in Lower 48. And we've had great coaches that have had tremendous success here, and like, Coach Brantley or, Coach Justin that I coach with. So growing and getting better and doing great.
Yeah, it's one of the pleasures I have having done this podcast coming up on, I guess, 10 years in about a year, just being able to go to little tiny towns or, states where people don't understand that high school football is just as big as it is in Texas or Ohio or Pennsylvania. It's Friday Night Lights, right? And you mentioned that it's growing and getting bigger because you did, play at Bartlett and you were on a championship team in 2002. You graduated about 15 years ago. What do you think? You talked about technology and all that, but where has the game itself gone within the state through your eyes as a player then and as a head coach now?
Well, I think there's just been a shift in, the style of play. Obviously, we still run the wing tee like it's 1955, but we're really good at it. But during that time, about everybody in our state was running a similar offense or, a run-based offense. And, now it's shifted to where just about everybody in our state's running the spread offense, doing RPO stuff, and so that's been a shift, but also just that I think that there's been a shift in preparation in terms of just, Huddle, being able to scout and watch film on everybody. Right. I started coaching 15 years ago right out of high school, and I remember watching VHS tapes of other teams, and we had some coaches that sometimes would accidentally send hunting videos instead of film. So I think that's pretty cool that we've taken that out of the equation and better preparation. You don't have to watch hunting videos. we can actually watch games.
Oh, that is hilarious. That's a first here on the show. Daniel Esparza, the co-head coach at Bartlett High School in Anchorage, Alaska. Boy, that one made me laugh. And the other thing is, I wasn't scared of the winning T either. I'm a kid that grew up in Pennsylvania, right down the road from Tubby Raymond and all those great Blue Hen teams at Delaware. So I like the wing tee. Nothing wrong with that. And a lot of teams still running the wing tee and just doing spread out of it. So it's all that good sort of stuff going on. I mentioned at the top, Coach, that you have a unique situation. You played for Coach Jessen, and then he stepped away from a couple of years. You took over the program, and now you guys are co-head coaches. Tell me how that all that developed.
I started coaching right out of high school with Coach Jay. He kind of talked to me. I was going to stay here, and lastly talked me into coaching. So I started coaching when I was 18 years old with him. And then I left. I got hired to be the head coach at West Valley High School up in Fairbanks, Alaska, when I was 23. And then I was there for 2 years, and we had some pretty good success. And then Coach Jay stepped away, and I had the opportunity to come back home, so I did. And I actually talked him into coming back right away, and he was our freshman team coach. So he went from being retired and being the school's all-time winningest coach to being the freshman coach, which I thought was pretty neat. Yeah. We told freshmen all the time, not very many high school in the United States of America can say that their school's winningest coach is their C-team coach now. And so then we had some difficult years. We lost the first 13 games of me being back. We were on a year and a half long losing streak, and then we were able to break that. And Coach Jay and I decided, hey, let's do this co-coaching thing. And we always had actually talked about being co-head coaches and splitting our duties. Our school is as much as you wouldn't think it, in Anchorage, Alaska, it could be a very rough inner city school. We have a lot of kids who come from rough backgrounds, rough neighborhoods. And so our kids, they require a lot of attention, a lot of work. And we do a lot of stuff with them, just in terms of we run a mandatory study hall in the off season. I run our weight program from November on. We do a lot of fundraising just because our state and our district doesn't fund our program very much. And so it's an overwhelming job for one guy. And so we kind of, we split it, we split our duties. He does most of the, in the off season, takes care of most of putting in the bus requests and all that kind of administrative stuff. I handle the weight room. He does study hall. And then when we get to this time of year, he does the administrative stuff. He helps out with football. I do the same. I call our offense on game days, and he's helping me out there with that. And so we just split our duties kind of right down the middle. And I think we just have a unique relationship, him and I, since we've been around each other for 20 years. He was my freshman high school history teacher too. So that guy's known me since I was a peon with Coke bottle glasses.
Oh, that's a great description. Daniel Esparza on the line. Bartlett football in Anchorage, Alaska, co-head coach with his high school coach when he was winning a championship, John Jessen, call him Coach Jay there. You mentioned that you go so far back, and one of the beauties, I think, of high school football is the fact that so many kids that play the game come back and eventually go into the profession of coaching just like you did. But maybe not the uniqueness of what you did there. What was the hardest thing for you to adjust to from, having the guy blow the whistle at you, probably, chew off your ear once or twice, smack you upside the head once or twice, to then being, his co-head coach?
Well, just because I'm the co-head coach doesn't mean I don't get my butt chewed or get smacked upside the head. So that's a daily occurrence. That hasn't changed. But, I think just him and I, like I said, we've just always had a unique relationship. And, I've always said I was blessed to have a great dad who's been in my life my entire life, and has been a great father. And I always said I always had a second dad whenever I wasn't around my dad with Coach Jay. So we just have a unique relationship where we're able to get along with each other. And, we bicker at each other like the old couple. I don't know who's Gary Matthau and who's Paul Newman, but we bicker at each other like that for sure on that practice, on game day, but we have a unique relationship and we're able to make it work. And I think it really is the difficult thing that I think coaches especially would have with being co-head coaches. We're all egotistical. That's part of why we're, how we got to the positions that we're at. of having the confidence and having enough ego to say, hey, I think we're doing things the correct way, my way. But I think we do a pretty good job of checking that at the door when we get there, and we kind of balance each other out. And sometimes, I'm correct, sometimes he's correct, but it's not a personal thing or anything like that. We're doing what's best for our kids and our program.
Yeah, it's neat. I was thinking of a couple of other programs. Folsom in California, very successful. Lots of state championships when they had co-head coaches. And I think the only other person, aside from Coach Jay, that may be able to do what you said there, of course, he's not the co-head coach, is Bob Lattiser at legendary De La Salle. After he stepped down, he became the freshman coach. So I think that kind of ties that all into one big ball there. So Coach Jay's in good hands. Bartlett Golden Bears, we're talking here on High School Football America's podcast today. North to Alaska. Before I rolled the tape here, Coach, you mentioned that it's abnormally hot there in Alaska. I was going to say California. It's supposed to be 80 in California, but you said it's hot. You opened camp last Wednesday. So tell us a little bit about, you don't have to give us a weather forecast, but what are some of the boxes you're trying to check here during the fall camp? And then we're going to get some kids in by name.
We're just trying to get better like every other, football team in America right now. Even the New England Patriots are trying to get better right now and getting ready for their first game of the season. We're just trying to get better. We graduated a really large senior class last year of 38 seniors that were the winningest class in the history of our school. They won either a league or a state championship each of their years of high school. And so we're just trying to get better and replace those guys. And actually, the kids that we have and our team that we have back now has done a great job of doing that. They had a great off season. We did a camp with Soldotna High School last week, and they have the best team that I've seen from them in the last 12 years. And we hung with them. We went right toe to toe with them. And so our kids I think they've taken the challenge of, we lost a lot of guys, but we still have a lot of kids back that are talented and have worked hard. And we don't really believe in rebuilding. We're just trying to reload and have a great season. And so that's something that's been nice, and we're just working on that.
Talking to Daniel Esparza, co-head coach at Bartlett in Anchorage, Alaska. For the listeners around the nation, Soldotna is going after its 8th straight Alaska State Championship this year. They're in the medium school classification. You guys, Division I, they're Division II. Coach, let's get some kids in by name. Not only the kids that you're looking for, on the field activity, but also leadership.
On the field activity, Leroy Manu. He plays defensive end receiver for us. He just last Friday got invited to the Polynesia All-America game down in Honolulu. He's only the second guy from Alaska ever to be invited to that. So we're looking forward to having a really good year from him, productivity from him on both sides of the ball. Our quarterback, Michael Tosi, he started every game for us last year at quarterback as a junior. We're looking forward to him being able to expand what we do a little bit, maybe throw the ball a little bit more offensively. And, he's a pretty good linebacker. So I actually released him to go play some linebacker for us this year, which hopefully I don't get bit in the butt on that one.
Yeah.
Elijah Lilio played for us last year a little bit at halfback, also playing some halfback this year, and looking for a big year from him. DeMario Moore in the same. We're lucky our offensive line, we've got 3 of our 5 guys from last year back, and, we had scored close to 500 points last season and ran for 4,700 yards. So it's nice to have those big guys up front back. So Josh Ellis, Shyler Trepanier, Ilana Haynes back up front there to mix in with some young kids would be great. And those guys up front also, especially Josh Ellis and Ilana, really provide us with great leadership. And then Elijah Lewis Tufi, who's a junior for us last year. We pulled him up from the JV team last year. He ended up starting for us as junior this year. We're looking for a lot from him on both sides of the ball in the defensive backfield, playing receiver, and he's even taken on being our backup quarterback, which is great. So, just a lot of good kids. Jay Sean Hudson, another guy who we're expecting a lot from, playing running back, defensive back for us. So, a lot of dudes and just guys that are trying to get better and focus on improving. And we said we're a no-name team. We lost a lot of big names last year. A kid that's playing at Oregon State right now. A couple other players that are playing Division II NAIA football. So we said we're a no-name team, and we just got to go out and make our name every day on Saturdays and Fridays.
That's the beauty of high school football, right, Coach? It changes on a regular basis, sometimes day to day. It does. Talking with Daniel Esparza, the head coach at Bartlett, and as we wrap things up here, one of the things you guys play an 8-game regular season, which means there's really not much margin for error, I would think. I think you probably got to come out pretty quickly, right? I mean, within those first couple of games there, you better have things shaken out, or maybe the postseason where, I guess, Division I, you get 8 teams in the state playoffs, right?
Yes, sir. Yeah, we get 8 teams in, and we have 8 regular season games. Yeah, and so we have a tough schedule this year. Every team on our schedule this year that we play made the playoffs last season. So we have a tough one right out of the gates with South Anchorage High School. They have a lot of talent back, and so we'll have to come out slinging and come out tough to play against them for sure.
And then the stupid question out of the media guy on the other end of the phone here. I never asked this to any other of the Alaska coaches. So you got 80 degrees right now. When does it finally start snowing up there where you can play some real Alaska football?
God, I hope never. I'd like to tell you I have this Studley snow coaching record, but it could get difficult with pulling guards and all kinds of tomfoolery and skullduggery when you run the wing tee when it snows. But this has been we've had a very unseasonably and warm summer. We had about 2 weeks back in June where we were in the 90s, and it was hotter here than it was in Maui or Los Angeles. And so it just kind of has continued on. This time of year, usually we're getting poured on and it's 50 degrees and cold. And, we were in the 80s yesterday, and we're supposed to be in the high 70s and 80s for the foreseeable future. And so hopefully we don't see snow until the day after the state championship, which I always say is my perfect scenario. In 2017, when we won the state title, I was getting our trophy, and I looked up and it started to snow, and I just said, man, life can't possibly get any better than this.
The football gods were smiling and snowing all at the same time. Well, Coach,
they sure were.
Yeah. So thank you. You were one of our winners in retweeting on our Twitter contest. I've had so much fun with this. We've been able to expose some programs that normally don't get exposed at any level of the media, especially our the national where we work. So thank you for joining us on the show, exposing Alaska football, and of course what you do there with the Golden Bears. Really appreciate it, and wish you nothing but success in the upcoming season.
Awesome. Thank you so much for having me on.
Very welcome. The 2019 Alaska high school football season kicks off next weekend. Well, tune in tomorrow on the High School Football America podcast. Strunky's back. He will talk about his brand new blog, Anchored Down at Port Isabel High School, the Tarpons in South Texas. That and more tomorrow on the High School Football America podcast.